All right, let's put on our detective hats, shall we? Today, we are tackling one of the biggest, most frustrating mysteries for any dog owner out there. What in the world is in their food that's making them so miserable? It's time to crack the case. I mean, does this sound familiar to you? That constant scratch, scratch, scratch that keeps both of you up at night? Or maybe it's the tummy troubles that have you, on edge after every single meal. It feels like this endless, frustrating cycle, right? But hey, you're definitely not alone in this, and trust me, there is a way out. So on one hand, you've got the before picture, right? The poor pup who's just uncomfortable, constantly itchy, maybe licking their paws raw. And on the other hand, that's the goal. That's the after picture. A dog who is just bursting with energy, shiny coat, happy tummy. Now, I know the gap between those two can feel absolutely massive, but we can build that bridge, I promise. And that's exactly what we're going to do. In just the next few minutes, we are going to give you all the clues you need, line up the usual suspects, and lay out the exact investigation method that will solve this mystery once and for all. Okay, first things first. Every good detective has to know what they're looking for, right? So our first clue, and this one is absolutely crucial, is getting a handle on the difference between a food allergy and a food intolerance. They sound similar, but believe me, they are not the same thing at all. So a true food allergy, that's an immune system problem, plain and simple. Think of it like your dog's internal security system just going haywire. It gets a false alarm, sees a totally harmless protein, like, say, chicken, and mistakes it for a dangerous invader. So what does it do? It launches a full-scale attack. And what we see on the outside is the fallout from that battle, all that intense itching and inflamed skin. Now, a food intolerance, on the other hand, that's a whole different ballgame. It's way simpler. This is purely a digestive issue. The immune system isn't even invited to the party. It just means your dog's stomach has a tough time breaking down a certain ingredient. It's really similar to how some people are lactose intolerant. Okay, so let's put these side by side because this is where it gets really clear. Allergy, immune system. Intolerance, digestive system. The primary symptoms are a huge clue too. Allergies usually mean skin problems, itching, ear infections. Intolerances mean gut problems, vomiting, diarrhea. And here's a really important distinction. An intolerance usually shows up pretty fast, within a few hours of eating. But an allergy, man, that can pop up out of nowhere, even if your dog has eaten that same food for years with zero issues. Crazy, right? Okay, so now we know what kind of crime we're investigating, allergy or intolerance. The next step is to start gathering evidence. We need to identify the telltale signs and round up the usual suspects. Look, your dog is giving you clues all the time. You just need to know how to read them. If it's an allergy, the evidence is usually skin deep. We're talking that relentless itching, especially around the face and paws, those chronic, gunky ear infections, and those awful, red, angry hot spots. Now, if it's an intolerance, all the clues are in the gut. You'll see frequent vomiting, chronic diarrhea, and you'll hear that symphony of gurgling stomach sounds. So who are our prime suspects? Well, this is what's so wild. The most common culprits are often the most common ingredients in their food. Look at this. Beef is number one, responsible for a whopping 34% of cases. Then you've got dairy, chicken, and wheat right behind it. It's often just a case of overexposure. Think about it. Their immune system sees the same exact protein every single day, and eventually it can just get sensitized and start to freak out. And hey, while those big proteins are the main suspects for true allergies, we can't let the other troublemakers off the hook. You've also got to keep an eye on things like corn and soy. And don't even get me started on all the artificial additives, colors, preservatives, flavors that are packed into a lot of foods. It really pays to become a label detective. Okay, we've got our clues. We've got our lineup of suspects. Now it's time to start the real investigation. And the absolute best way, the gold standard for getting a confession out of that problem ingredient, is something called an elimination diet. And this isn't just some random idea. I mean, vets, nutritionists, specialists, they all agree. The elimination diet is the gold standard for a reason. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's not the fastest or easiest method, but it is by far the most accurate. The one catch? You have to be so strict. There are no cheat days here. So, how does this thing actually work? It's basically a 4-step plan. Step 1, you pick a novel diet. That just means one protein and one carbohydrate your dog has literally never eaten before. Think something like rabbit and pumpkin, or venison and sweet potato.
Step 2, and this is the tough one, you feed only that diet for a good 8 to 12 weeks. And when I say only, I mean only. No treats, no table scraps, nothing. Step 3, you become a scientist. You monitor everything, keep a detailed journal. And finally, step 4, once all those nasty symptoms have cleared up, you start reintroducing the old foods one by one to see which one makes the symptoms come back. Boom, that's your culprit.
You gotta have patience for this, for sure. This timeline kind of lays out what to expect. For the first couple of weeks, you might not see much change at all, and that's totally normal, so don't get discouraged. But then, somewhere around week 4 to 6, that's when the magic usually starts to happen. You should see a real improvement. By weeks 8 to 10, hopefully your dog is totally clear, no more symptoms. And that's when you know you're ready for that final challenge phase to nail down the exact trigger. So, you've done it. You've identified the culprit. You've solved the mystery. Case closed, right? Well, not quite. Now comes the important part, creating a new, long-term meal plan to make sure those problems stay gone for good. And you've got a few really solid options here. First up, there are hydrolyzed protein diets. These are pretty high-tech. Basically, the proteins are broken down into such tiny pieces that your dog's immune system can't even recognize them to attack them. They're amazing for dogs with really severe or multiple allergies. Then you have limited ingredient diets, or LIDs. These are perfect when you've pinpointed 1 or 2 specific triggers you need to avoid. The name says it all. The ingredient list is short and sweet. And finally, there's home cooking. This gives you ultimate control, which is awesome, but, and this is a big but, you have to work with a vet nutritionist to make sure it's balanced. You don't want to accidentally create new problems. And remember, this new diet plan isn't just about mealtime. It's about everything that goes in their mouth. For treats, you want to stick to simple, single-ingredient stuff, like freeze-dried rabbit or little pieces of dehydrated sweet potato. And you can also give their system a boost with some helpful supplements. Probiotics are fantastic for healing the gut, and omega-3s from fish oil can do wonders for calming down that itchy, inflamed skin. Okay, I know this whole process can sound like a lot of work, but the payoff, it is absolutely huge. To prove it, let's look at a few real-life success stories where cracking the food code totally changed a dog's life. First up, meet Max. His owner told us it was like getting their happy puppy back. He was a golden retriever who was allergic to chicken, and the midnight scratching sessions were keeping the entire family awake. Once they figured it out and switched his food, it all just stopped. The relief was just incredible.
Then you've got Lola, a French bulldog whose owner described her life as going from multiple messy accidents every single day to solid poops and no more vomiting. She had an intolerance to beef and dairy. For them, finding the right food was, and I'm quoting here, life-changing for both of us.
And one last one, Rusty, a Cocker Spaniel who was trapped in this endless cycle of painful ear infections. Turns out, the culprits were wheat and chicken. 6 months after changing his diet, he hadn't needed a single ear treatment. Even his groomer couldn't believe the difference. It just shows you how sometimes the problem shows up in a place you'd never expect. So now it's your turn. The investigation is in your hands. Think about everything we just walked through, the difference between an allergy and intolerance, the symptoms to look for, the main culprits. Go take a really good look at your dog. What's the very first clue they're giving you? Because that single clue, that's where your whole investigation starts.